So Lightfall has been out for a week and some change now, and I personally finished the campaign over the weekend about a few days ago. And aside from the back and forth I've had on Twitter expressing my thoughts when the game first came out, my first completion, I haven't really sat down and made a proper video discussing it. So here I am with this video. So quick little background for myself. Personally been here since Destiny 1 beta and pretty much almost played this game every week, if not almost every day since Destiny 1. So that's how heavily I am invested into the franchise, not only with money, but also time. So when I say I was looking forward to Lightfall, 9 years worth of lore being built up, our Infinity War to endgame type of deal, Destiny 2 into the end of that game, hinting at the Black Fleet, just so much build up to Lightfall. I had high expectations for Lightfall, and it was not met, to say the least. I kind of have a bullet point here. It's going to be a bit of an off the cuff, so I want to start off with the marketing for one, presenting that this is the beginning of our end. The vibe of this campaign did not reflect that sense of the beginning of the end for the marketing, as well as the Cloud Striders. I can't remember, all I can remember is Rohan, but the young Cloud Strider, I can't remember their name, but their dialogue really threw off the vibe. The training montage that we experienced later threw off the vibe. It really was so when compared to like 80s action film. And for me, I'm just like, for something labeled Lightfall, that really shouldn't be your approach. I know some people also say, well, Cade was Cade and people love him. And I was like, oh, that should be saying something. If this go around, I'm just like, I'm not impressed with the young Cloud Strider and their jokes and stuff like that during a really pivotal point in the franchise. But the opening cinematic, we finally got the Traveler shooting the laser beam. Holy crap, guys, this ball that's been floating above the city for years now finally did something. I'm sorry. As well as the Witness doing the Witness thing, slicing up the OG Guardians, which was kind of unsettling to see. Q Shockwave from the Witness, the Vanguard, which I will say, with the Witness finally attacking, I was expecting, maybe this is me, setting up my expectations too high in terms of what Bungie can deliver given their history. But after Witch Queen, I had some hope, right? But the Vanguard's just chilling out in the helm. Darkness shoots a dark wave and blast shield comes up, and that's all we get from the Vanguard and the main story. Unless there was something else, I'll beat the main story, and I'm pretty sure aside from like comms, we really didn't get much from the Vanguard. The problem is that once you beat the campaign, and spoilers, just saying it now, is that the closing, where the opening cinematic closed, is basically where the ending cinematic opens. So now I'm questioning, like, bro, what's the timeline here for the Vanguard to still be in the exact same position after we went through a whole training montage, fought Callus, defended Neomuna, did some boss battles, Kaido showed up, and the Vanguard is just now opening their blast shield on the helm. What is this the level of inconsistent, not even inconsistency? Yeah, inconsistency, let's go with that in terms of how much time has passed and just the lack of care. It really does seem like people say Lightfall got chopped up, or parts of Final Shape and Lightfall got chopped up. I don't know, it's a mess. And the way the campaign played out, it seems like that's the case. But moving on, so I don't waste too much time because I've recorded this multiple times because of how long I ranted before. We finally get to Neomuna, and I will say this: when you were in the drop pod and you're landing on Neptune for the first time, I was expecting a lot more. Thinking back on ODST, I believe when you're first time dropping down to Earth, there's some other games where you're dropping down Earth to a planet and you see the atmosphere as you're going through it. We just get a blank screen and welcome to Neomuna. That's our first landing. I can't speak right now on Neptune. It's a black screen followed by a loading screen followed by pretty colors. Neptune, welcome. Strand. While we find this thing on the street, like that's we got the darkness, we got stasis through the darkness tempting us with Aramis and her crystals and the pyramid landing on Europa. That's how we got stasis, having to learn through that. And Strand, we found it off the street. It popped up every now and then when we used it. We got super tired, but that's about it. We went through a training montage and boom, we got Strand. Now don't get me wrong, Strand is fun. I haven't done too much with it personally though, admittedly, because after I beat the campaign and call it dramatic, I know I kind of uninstalled the game and I'm just like, damn, I kind of don't like, I'll log back in after a few days later. I did reinstall it so I can capture some gameplay footage, but as I'm playing, I'm just like, man, I kind of don't feel like playing this right now, and I've been playing this game for years now. That's how disappointed I was with the campaign. But silly Strand, we found it off the street and now we're Spider-Man. It's fun, but at the same time, I'm just like, you guys could have did a lot better in terms of delivering or explaining how we got it and just making it more epic, I guess, for lack of a better word. So the Black Fleet is finally in Sol, finally attacking the solar system. And I will honestly, if you ask me, they did way more damage when they first arrived. I think Season of the Arrivals, when they took away a few planets, but they showed their power that way. But we finally have them in Sol, and our main enemy faction for this DLC is the Cabal. But purple and gold this time, the Shadow Legion. with very little new mechanics to them, which I say very little, but I think there's really just one, is like some weird overshield buffing field that they drop in, some suppression presented throughout the campaign. I'm not sure if that's used throughout strikes and stuff like that. Like I said, I uninstalled the game after beating the campaign. But yeah, that's the Cabal. Oh, but we did get the Tormentors, and as cool as they are and as interesting as they are, to only get one new enemy among the whole Black Fleet. Again, the whole Black Fleet, the Black Fleet that is responsible for humanity's collapse, the one that brought us to the brink of extinction. We get one new enemy variant, which is really a mixture of the Black Fleet and Callus's soldiers, and that's it. Same Cabal. And speaking of the same Cabal, Callus, okay. A guy that's been with the franchise since Destiny 2's release, the first raid boss, which was actually his robot, but his mechanics with the creepy skull or the floaty projection of his head, spitting out skulls and teleporting you to different realms and stuff during the raid, if you remember the mechanics there. Even season of the hunting, I believe, and the conclusion there. Even during the campaign of Lightfall, I was about to call it the campaign of Strand, how he popped up in the sky and did some massive crazy shockwave, like he did some crazy stuff, right? His actual boss fight is just a glorified Colossus and Gladiator. Now, like, when I first approached this man while he's standing with his back turned against me, and he turned around for the first time, and I see him like form a gun that looks exactly like the Colossus gun, I was like, y'all can't be doing this right now. After Savathun's story, after her boss fight with her shooting, I know her whole thing is like she has the power to light, and she's basically just throwing Nova Bombs and lightning and blade barrages from just like, she's got some creativity added to it. Callus's fight is just a glorified Colossus and Gladiator. The man that had all these mechanics tied to his raid, and this is the most you guys can do. Savathun's boss fight had us first fighting her on the one section. We moved across the waters. Now we're having to go inside, if I recall correctly, to cut the thread, so to speak, to get a buff. Transitioning between the realms, she's got this protective bubble around her. She's moving around the map. Enemies responding in. You gotta destroy the enemies. So many mechanics in the Witch Queen. And Callus. You got Callus. Really. So after you beat the campaign, right? And after the Witness finally gets the veil, this device that we have no clue entirely what it is. Just know that Osiris says if Witness gets it, it's game over, man. My brother keeps saying it's game over, man. But if Osiris or the Witness gets the veil, it's game over for us. Well, guess what? Like I said, spoilers. The Witness got the veil. They shot some laser to the Traveler and went inside. Let me back up a little bit. Creates a portal and kind of goes inside the I don't know what happened. That's the problem. Like, I don't know what happened. That happens. They teleport through to another plane as a Traveler. I don't know, but we still have the light. You return to the city. You know, Zavala, and I'll admit that's another disappointment I have, is just like the way Vanguard reacts just lacks any urgency, any impact. You know, you show up and Zavala's like, oh man, you know, we might have lost, but when I turned around and I look over the city, I see Cabal and Elixni and the Awoken side by side, and I think we're doing pretty well, actually. I'm just like, bro, I understand the whole Kumbaya thing and togetherness, but I need some proper emotion as to what happened here. And the same thing happens with like Ikora. It's like the Vanguard entirely doesn't display the energy that we lost. That, hey, the Witness got what they wanted. They say the Traveler's gone, even though the Traveler's not gone. Like, their expressions just don't match up with the weight of the story and what it's supposed to signify. So again, that's why, and I'm just all over the place. Again, the veil not having a proper explanation as to what it is. I personally was thinking it was going to be related to the statues we saw inside the pyramid ships as you played throughout, I believe, Beyond Light, Eve, and Shadowkeep. And that wasn't it. It was some type of device that the Cloud Striders know about, and even Osiris knows about, but we don't know about it. Just know that it's very important, and you need to stop the Witness from getting it. Not to make this video any longer. The last recording I did was like 20 minutes long, and we were hitting 11 minutes here, is that after Witch Queen, I thought that, and after being with the franchise for so long, for 9 years now, give or take, the up and downs with the DLCs, with the amount of lore that we got to build up and everything like that, and especially after Witch Queen telling a pretty decent story, in my opinion. We had a end goal of how did Savathun get the light. We got the introduction of her light-bearing hive, the different locations in her throne world, and then being introduced to, or now getting Lightfall. And Bungie is saying that the story is supposed to be expanded over a year. I'm just like, this is just terrible. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna flat out say it's terrible. I saw Ty Guy Travis's in progress review giving it a 5. I personally would probably give it a 6 out of 10. because of the expectation I had, but I'm just like, if this is the quality that we're getting with Lightfall, this genuinely makes me concerned about Final Shape. And yes, I've been with the franchise for 9 years now, so at this point I'm almost obligated to play and see how this concludes to an extent, but I am genuinely concerned with Final Shape. And I know they said the seasons are supposed to build up and explain things, which in my opinion, that should be the case. The main campaign should have its own concluding, well-told story, with the seasons kind of telling the aftermath and building up to Final Shape, not answering the questions that should have been answered in Lightfall's campaign. But yeah, Lightfall was just a disappointment, a huge disappointment for me. And I see people saying that Lightfall wasn't that bad. We got these quality of life changes which aren't tied to the purchase of the game. We got like one new enemy variant, just one with the Dark Fleet here. We got one enemy, which is the Tormentor. The gameplay is great. Like, the gameplay has always been great, so I'm not gonna give that a plus to Lightfall when the base game, like, you can enjoy the awesome gameplay without buying Lightfall. Why would I give you a high score because of that? Like, bro, it's not locked to the expansion. And so much more. Like, I get it if people are like, I'm not gonna tell you how to feel. I'm trying not to, I should say. But I'm not gonna say how you should feel. But at some point, I just feel like, at some point, you gotta really be able to say, damn, is this what we expect? $50, $100, 9 years worth of stories expansion, and we're okay with being given recycled weapons, the same enemy factions, no new Crucible maps, very lackluster story, but the gameplay is great. We're happy. Like, me personally, I'm kind of over the gameplay good, so I'm happy with dropping $50 to $100 on this game. So yes, I'm still gonna play, even though, like I said, I uninstalled it out of the disappointment. I'm still gonna hop back in eventually. I'm still gonna get Final Shape, but I'm not excited for Final Shape. That's pretty much it. Like, I'm just ranting and just going in a circle now. So TLDR, Lightfall, the second to the final expansion, the culmination of 9 years, the beginning of our end, a huge disappointment, massive disappointment. My name is Bife, put out a video expressing why it was such a letdown and losing faith in the studio. I agree with that. So I'm gonna cut it here this time and avoid hitting 20 minutes. Just know the TLDR is Lightfall, Bungie. I expect more, and you guys genuinely disappointed me, and it sucks to say that I haven't been with the franchise for so long. And we'll see. We'll see how things turn out. And yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna cut the video here. Yeah, light, sub, shoot things, and Spider-Man powers are fun. That's pretty much about it. So